Okay, so we're in a huddle, another KSI huddle, questions, and then we run out, we close it down. David, you go first.
I was wondering, for a long distance runner, do you use any particular model in placement of the feet?
Yeah, absolutely, David. There's opportunity in sport that's only recognised when someone else has done it. And one of the big things in distance running is the ignorance of, or the lack of regard given to the stretch shortening cycle. You know, the efficiency, that when you change the stretch shortening cycle, the efficiency in the energy use and the recovery is substantial. So one of the big things I do is I help them become a little bit more competent at using the stretch shortening cycle, and that involves foot placement. So we want to minimise the braking effect, the heel running, which is inevitable in a distance event. They're going to run the heels more so than in a short distance event. But you know, we do want to shift their model more to one end of the continuum so that they do recruit the energy system or the energy from the stretch shortening cycle far more effectively. Excellent. Great. Can I pass that around away? Thank you.
Thank you. With regards to what you spoke about weightlifting just now, about drilling, getting the technical model with drills in, how would you advise for a warm-up to lead up to heavier weights?
Okay. So when you're doing technical work, there's almost no heavy weight anyway. It's progressively heavy, not substantially heavy within the workout. And all your warm-up sets should be used for technical consolidation. So in say, general strength training, bodybuilding, whatever, there's not a lot of focus on the technique in the warm-up. It's just like a chore, we get it done. But the focus in the technique, in the more technical lifts, such as Olympic lifts, is far greater. So even when you're doing part lifts, which you should be doing a lot of part lifts, the focus is substantial. The execution, that's where you get your rehearsal from. By the time you get to loading, you shouldn't have to think too much of it. A well-designed Olympic lifting program, in my opinion, will have a lot of part lift exercises in it. Does that make sense? Part lift? So snatch combinations, clean combinations, snatch balance drills, pressing variations. So they're not doing the whole lift, they're doing part of it, allowing you to focus exclusively on a certain part. You know, done with different speeds, done with different loadings. There's a lot that goes into the recipe of an Olympic lifting program.
Right.
A lot of technical drill that goes into it. Coming in here to Christine first.
Thank you. Okay, so my question is, where in this program, or is it just from watching the videos, do we learn your idea of completely accurate execution and then cueing our clients to execute? Yeah.
So let's say in strength training there's just a couple of hundred exercises. So we can cover that pretty well. But if you were saying, well, Ian, what about all sports and the technique of all sports? That's a whole different ballgame, because there are so many different disciplines within sports and so many different technical models. Like it mount up into thousands and thousands. But as far as exercises go, between artifacts like How to Teach DVD and then the videos of seminars that you see in our learning support program. So there's a lot of technique-based seminars that we've done over the years that are in there, including historical ones, but more for the more recent ones. And then you get to watch the videos of coaches training, even like elite one-on-one clients. So you get immersed in the technical options. I probably should refer to yeah, because you get to see a lot more than just the house.
So, yeah. So also when you go to Cape Cod, you're given clients. And so you're going to train the clients, like general pop clients, athletes, whoever it is, and the high-level coaches watch you train them the entire day, or every day you have them. So every lift you do with them, every exercise you do with them, you get, they let you know how to do it optimally.
Yes. So the coaching education is multi-layered. It's the artifacts in the public domain. It's the artifacts that are in discrete holdings in the learning support program, and then there's a live teaching that goes on. So at Cape Cod in the 5-day period, you might do a weightlifting seminar, where you have to teach the weightlifting exercises to kids who are pretty serious about the weightlifting. You might do strength training with 4 different sports. And then you might do strength training with a general population person. So there's a diversity of exercise, a diversity of skill expectations. Great question.
When working with tennis players, how do you decide when to apply a model to change technique, and how do you develop that model?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that we do that I don't believe, well, I know is not common in the industry, I don't know anyone else who does what we do, is that we just don't do physical preparation. We deal with the entire athlete preparation. Now, it's something we don't talk about a lot because in the segmentised or specialised Western world, you're not meant to do that. You know, you've got the psychologists, you've got the nutritionists, you've got this and that, and you're all meant to keep in your boundaries, blah, blah, blah. But what I found over the years is that as I progressed through up the ranks of athletes and across the width of the sports, was that the deficiencies in coaching was so great, so gross, that I had to step up in these other areas. So I developed the ability to do that. There are very few athletes that we don't change the technical model. And I'm talking about in excess of 30 plus sports historically, including athletes that have changed the history of sport as far as their medals and their world records. So with tennis, no different than any other sport. We get to know what their technical model is. We ask them how they feel about it. We ask them who's teaching it. And we look to see whether the model of express, well, firstly, do they have one? But if they have one, they've expressed it. Is the execution congruent with the expression? And if there's a breakdown, why is it? Is it because the way it was being taught, or is it fundamentally flawed? Now, we don't, there's saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We don't fiddle with everything, but if we feel there's a need, either expressed by the athlete or question mark one of ourselves, then we get involved. And the way we do it is we dialogue with all stakeholders, which is really quite few, because often coaches just they don't know what's going on because they don't want to know what's going on, or it's just too dangerous, or they're that cranky with us. So it's typically the athlete ourselves, but we're more than happy to have the coach involved, obviously. And we experiment, we come up with an alternative model, but we presented it to them in a way that they've had buy-in on the model, and they also understand that we're not saying this is the model, but we want to give it a go, give it a few months and see how it goes. Makes sense? So we're really open, and the collaborative work with athletes. Because my approach to sports training, I don't have to know everything. I don't want to know everything. I don't know everything, but I know how the answers, and I can simulate all the time at the high level of the program in all sports. You'll see us taking their model all the time. It's really simple. Do you have a model? Great. What is it? Where did it come from? Who is the influence? How do you think it's the way it's been taught? Are you happy with the way you're executing it? If it's not a problem, then you don't go there for the moment. But what happens is that sport only changes when someone does something great and says, look at that person, look what they're doing. Even then they usually miss the point. So we want to be on the front foot. We want to lead. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to wait until everyone say, well, everyone's doing it now. If we're not doing something different, if we're doing what everyone else is doing, how are we going to be unique? How are we going to get a result? We've got to be doing something different. And not every athlete embraces that opportunity, but once they go up to the high level, they know that there's 50 tennis players on the court, there's 50 different serve models. You know, the interesting thing about technical models is most of the athletes use a technical model that they adopted when they were young and weak, and they've still got it now. So one of the biggest things we do is to help them understand that, and we change it to evolve to match their newfound physical status or newfound technical tactics to break mold of the job. And it's not been done enough. So we fix that. That's one of the real common areas we work in. Great question. Well, I love to talk about technique because for me, I'd rather be on a tennis court or a basketball court than in a weight training gym. Athletes, real good athletes, they only do lifting because they felt it might help them. They're not, I want to get bust sort of. And any athlete's worried more about what they look like than how they perform is never going to fulfill the test. I want to work with athletes who, okay, I'll do it if you think I need to, but I'm really here just to put that ball in the hoop, that ball over the net.
You kind of just touched on this, but my question is, like you said, there are so many sports, so you can't know everything about all of them. Yep. So let's say you get a new client, a new athlete, who plays a sport that you know nothing about. So obviously you could Google and research, but that's just like everything else in this industry. How do you know if you're getting the truth, if it's accurate, if it's effective, to make your plan on how to go.
So I don't get much off Pilgrim at all. I don't research sport on the internet to any great extent. I want to know a bit of the history. I'll pick a bit of history up. I'll pick up competitive patterns. Like is it an Olympic sport? Where the World Cup's held, how many times a year, when do they start, when they finish? A bit of stuff like that. But I don't want to be influenced by technical models or training models from anyone else. I just start everything from a blank slate based upon the philosophies that I've developed. The only time that I would go and research the internet is if I found an athlete who I was inspired by what they were doing, I was intrigued by what they were doing, I wanted to know what they were doing. I'll take Novak Djokovic, for example. Now, if I just typed in Novak Djokovic and how he trains, I would find 35 million articles written by men's health-like magazines that are totally off track. Then apparently they're all doing the same 7-step workout. Like, really? They'll have him throwing kettlebells, pushing a prowler, flipping tyres and all that sort of stuff. No, if I'm looking for Novak, I want to know what Novak's really doing when he closes the door. Because the lead athletes are going to tell you what they're doing, not going to let anyone see what they're doing. But sometimes he lets someone, like a home little video, and so if I find him hanging off a chin bar, twisted inside on a homemade trapeze that he's made to improve his flexibility, that's the sort of stuff that I look for. But generally speaking, I want to start from clean slate based on my principles. Now that's a really unique skill, and you'll learn that when the coaches get to higher level. It's not something that is that we teach at this level, or is it necessarily easy to do.
Because it's meaning with your knowledge and the way you know things should be executed, you use that with the history of the sports to figure out what they best need.
Yes, absolutely. So we innovate in the technique. Because the reasons athletes use technique is, first of all, what they adapted to when they were a child, because they could. Secondly, what their childhood coach told them what to do. Thirdly, what everyone else is doing, so they start modelling that. None of which is really that relevant moving forwards. So, for example, I did some work in Austria with a discipline in one of the national teams, and I get to know, that's a great thing about my travels, I get to know what different countries and different sports are using, the models, and there's quite a bit of commonality amongst them there. And they're usually got some opportunities for improvement. So it's a matter of finding athletes who are willing to experiment and willing to be different. And the greatest ones are. The mediocre ones, even at Olympic level, they're not so, they're still conformity based. And technical adjustment is a long, slow process. There's a lot of confidence goes in, because when you start messing with a technique and the athlete starts being a little bit unconfident, it's like opening a Pandora's box that you can't handle. I wouldn't want a physical coach to do what I'm talking about unless they could really handle the athlete well. And our coaches only start doing this stuff at the highest level, because we don't want to mess with them. So we do it at certain times of the year, we do it at a certain rate. You know, it's a long, slow, gentle process.
I would say even at the lowest level, could you make an athlete better by helping them out with their posture? Could you make an athlete better by getting them more flexible? Would they be better, learning their control drills? Would they be better with even a generic balance program? You know what I mean? So you can help an athlete big time just with the very basic knowledge that you know now.
And I think what I'm talking about is probably more of the lead end, so the upper end of the development level and in the lead end, because if you've got a young kid and he's shooting hoop, what are the chances that young kid has got a technical model for how he shoots? Think about it. What are the chances that young basketballer, some coach has told him how to shoot in a way that when he gets up the line he goes, feet, toes, knees, hips, elbow, hand, other hand, follow through, pull. What are the chances of that happening? He's not mentally rehearsing his shot. So we have so much opportunity to help athletes. You just watch them and you say to them, I'm intrigued by how you're shooting. How did you learn to shoot like that? And just ask questions without defending and being dogmatic.
I would say that there's also a fear of training somebody at a higher level than general population, because people think that other coaches that at the highest level, professional Olympic level, know what they're doing, and they don't. So the information that you can provide the athlete can help them more than you think, because what they're doing right now is just god awful, and I've seen it firsthand.
He's seen it firsthand, and he's impacted us. So there's not a lot of hope for athletes even at the elite level. I know I'm sounding a little bit negative, or maybe I'm trying to beat my own drum up, but the reality is you'd be stunned, as John was, and I was too. When I first came to this country in '89, I had higher expectations than what I found. So yeah, it's a big void. It's a big void of opportunity, and it's not about it's not about you. You look at me, I'm a hero, I'm grabbing the opportunity. It's about the athletes who are being denied the opportunity because of the lack of quality content at all ends of sport. Okay, we've got time for one or two more, and I know we're under pressure to wrap it up. So,
I have noticed there's a gradual increase in the fatalities in cardiac arrest, be it among elite athletes or amateur recreational athletes. Would this be one of your consideration now when you train a client? And any insights into that?
So I missed the first part. You've noticed an increase in?
Gradual increase in the number of cardiac arrests. In
my opinion, there's an increase in injuries, illnesses, and deaths in sport, full stop. So you have to be very vigilant about what you do, and if you do whatever else is doing, you're not helping the problem. So we have a very big commitment at KSI to giving people an opportunity to do it a better way. Because I don't want you to get injured now or in the future. I don't want you to get sick with overtraining conditions, and I don't want you to pass away prematurely due to any of those things that could happen. So you have to be very vigilant because the world is getting degraded physically, full stop. And no one seems to notice and no one seems to care. It's like the frog in the pot when the temperature is slowly changing and the frog doesn't get out because they don't know the temperature is changing. But because I've been around for nearly 40 years and I've seen 4 decades worth of training, I'm just stunned at what's happening to humans now compared to what was happening to humans 40 years ago. And we will have an orthopaedic ward for teenagers. Like we'll have an under 12 orthopaedic ward, so they'll be doing ACLs and shoulder reconstructions on under 12s in about 10 years' time, en masse, not just occasionally. The world is really heading in the wrong direction. Anyway, I know I'm under pressure, so Randy, you have the final question.
Because you brought up tennis, sports that are, asymmetrical. You have baseball, golf, rowing. Tennis. Unless you got a two-handed backhand and forehand, at what level are you attacking the imbalance? Are you having people? Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
That was the question?
Oh, no, I was going to ask if are you doing it in the dry land training wrong, or are you having somebody swing a bat the other way?
Okay, so this is what I teach. Mainly to the parent or the coach, initially, well, the athlete as well, but the minute you swing something asymmetrically, if you don't counter it, you're stuffed. Now for me, countering comes in a lot of different areas. It can come dry land, it can come on the court. So let's say you use a sport where there's an opportunity for both sides, like basketball. Basketball is pretty much a one-sided sport, but it can be done on both sides. So we can reduce imbalances if the sport allows them to play off both hands or both feet. Now that's not going to be the case in, say, boxing. You don't find too many boxers switching from conventional to southpaw in the bout. You don't find too many golfers swinging both sides, even though they could, but I'm not suggesting they do. But basketball, you can definitely, So the first thing is your opportunity within the sport to be more balanced in your rehearsal. The second thing is we need to understand the shortening that's going to happen and reverse it. Whether or not what strategy you want to use is totally different, but for every minute or every stroke that you don't counter it, you're getting a stroke further behind. Most athletes only picked up when they've got an injury. Tennis players, the ones I get close observation when coming out of Australia, they are so messed up by the time that they get to about 20 that if they came to me, in the top 100, a player came to me messed up like that and wanted me to help them, I'd probably be wise to run the other way because they are so far gone. So yeah, we want to get them real early, and we do, as much as we can. I like them when we get them young. The challenge with getting them young is they don't have the funding all the time to get that level of service, and then the young ones can't guarantee they're going to be there at the top end. The ones that are there at the top end, you don't always get when they're young. So ideally we get them young, but we just do our best whatever we get. But we educate publicly as much as we can, and through our coach education seminars about how to address imbalances and to get it done straight away, the minute they start swinging the bat.
And when you have, say, a tennis stroke or a swimming stroke, it's done at a certain speed of movement, and then you have certain limitations and things, but do you have to match that speed of movement?
Not necessarily, not necessarily. without being defeatist, there's a degree of imbalance that you will have to accept playing an asymmetrical sport. We're not going to win the battle completely, but we want to make the discrepancy so minimal we don't get an injury from it. For example, in swimming, up until about the mid-1990s in Australia, there wasn't any surgery in swimming. Now, by the time they got to the late 90s and in early 2000s, it was very common to see an athlete in swimming have shoulder surgery or wearing tape. And for me, one of the biggest reasons for that is because more people started giving them strength training. So they took a sport that already created its own problems and they added really imbalanced strength training to it. So they doubled the problems. Because swimming alone never historically resulted in surgery, typically. It did mess with posture and we couldn't do things to fix it. And a bit was being done, not enough, but a bit was being done. But how do you counter swimming and poor strength training? You don't. Because they think the strength training is countering the swimming. It's not, it's actually making it worse. So we've got a real problem in our hands because of the proliferation of the strength and conditioning philosophies of dryland training. They're really just strength programs designed for American football players influenced in the 1960s. Nothing's really changed. So I would prefer a swimmer actually not to do that at all. If a swimmer said to me, going forward, should I do nothing or do the American strength program, no matter what country you live in, because they're all doing the same program, I'd say don't do it, just swim. Quite ironic, I had a young American college athlete come back from a D1 college a few weeks ago and came back home and got introduced to the dryland program in her sport, and she said, this is exactly what they did to me in America for the last 2 years, and I know it didn't work, I'm not going to do it. Now, we don't have too many athletes that are that astute, but she's had the opportunity of being in 2 countries, and she says, right, you're just transplanted the American approach, and I found out the hard way, because she did it really hard. It didn't work. So, but as I said, not every athlete is that astute or had that opportunity to understand what's going on globally. Excellent. I know, just reading to Gregory, we have to wrap it up, and really, just try to agree with you, run to Gregory, just run up to Gregory.
My question is, in a game, when you're looking at winning and losing, barring any prior winning trends, do you have like a checklist of what you're looking for, of why what's happening and what's going on in the game?
I don't have a checklist that I can give to you. Obviously, there's a series of things. One day I'm going to write a coach, like a head sports coach, a little black book of secrets, help them become more successful coaches. It'll come out one day, but yes, I do run through things in my head, and I see it pretty quickly. Because that's my job, and that's my tough history to change and get results. See, coaches expect a pretty low championship rate. If a coach was in a league for 20 years, how many years do they expect to win for? 1. If they had 1, they'd be pretty happy. So they're looking at about a 5% championship rate. I'm looking at about an 80% championship rate. You know, pretty unheard of, unless you're, some of the coach out of the Bulls who went to the Lakers and Phil Jackson. There's a few coaches running around in college and pro sport and Olympic sport that just expect more. But majority of them, if they won 1 out of 20, their dream that it would come true. And God bless them. And some will say statistically that's all you expect, but I think you can do more. I think you can dominate the market because most people expect less. That's the beauty of opportunity in sport. Excellent, thank you. Want to clip that for us, Trevor? Just top it off.